The time by Carrie Chris is 6 p.m. Time for CBX Business News. The Business News headlines is brought to you by CBX Wealth Management, making more possible.
Thanks for joining us. Coming up in the newscast, locally, new cabinet, new mandate. Holness tells ministers this third term will be judged by performance, not empty promises. On the regional front, Guyana unveils urban plan to transform Georgetown into a green hub. And over on the global stage, U.S. Federal Reserve delivers first rate cut since December. Bank of England holds steady. Stay tuned as we unpack these stories and more right after the break.
Wealth is not simply counted in dollars or cents, but in the time we spend with love, in love, giving love. Wealth is not simply a means to an end. It is the means to live out loud. Wealth is more than money. It's about family, the memories you create, the legacy you leave behind, and your ability to enjoy life in the moment. It's also about seeing the QMAX possibilities and seizing investment opportunities to achieve the future you want and deserve. Which is why QMAX Wealth will focus on your investments so you can experience more. Because true wealth is truly more. To start investing today, call 876-926-7767.
This is Brittany from Daniel's Coffee Barrel. Just wanted to wish CBX a very happy anniversary from Daniel and the team.
The local news is brought to you by Darriman Trading, better from the start. Development Bank of Jamaica, facilitating economic growth and development. Caribbean flavors and fragrances, tease the senses, and Pulse Investments.
Welcome back to CBX Business News. We begin with a strong message to Jamaica's new government. Jamaica's new cabinet has been sworn in, and Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness wasted no time warning his ministers that this third term will be judged by performance, results, and economic transformation. Addressing his team moments after they took the oath of office at King's House on Wednesday, Holness underscored that Jamaicans have rewarded measurable progress with this election victory. Now he says expectations are higher and excuses will not suffice.
Let us be clear, this is not a time to grow comfortable. It is a time to recommit to humility, to service, and to performance. The Jamaican people have spoken loudly and clearly. They have looked beyond rhetoric. They have looked beyond tradition. They have focused and rewarded performance. It is because of measurable results, lower debt, stronger growth, record jobs, reduced crime, better wages, improved service, and I could go on and on and on, that they have given us this historic third term.
Holness charged his team to treat their appointments not as personal prizes, but as national assignments weighted with responsibility.
With that mandate comes expectations. Jamaicans are not looking for excuses. They are looking for results. Faster service, better infrastructure, safer communities, and more opportunities for their children. So to my ministers, let me be direct. This appointment is not a personal prize. It is not a reward for loyalty, nor a platform for status. It is an assignment of national importance, heavy with responsibility and demanding of sacrifice. Let us remain grounded in humility and resist the temptation to see ministries as personal turf. We cannot afford progress to be slowed by lack of collaboration with ministries pulling in different directions.
That was Prime Minister of Jamaica, Dr. Andrew Holness. And with global demand rising and food security at stake, Jamaica is pitching agriculture as its next major growth industry. Chief Executive Officer of Agro-Invest, Vivian Scully, says the government's Agri-Invest arm has lined up a suite of projects aimed at attracting private capital and transforming the sector into a modern export powerhouse. Speaking earlier today at the Jamaica Agribusiness Investment Forum, currently underway in Montego Bay, St. James, Jamaica, Scully says Agro-Invest, in collaboration with the Ministry of Agriculture, is seeking partnerships to drive development across infrastructure, production, and processing.
Jamaica's agriculture is standing at a crossroads between untapped potential and global demand. Agro-Invest, together with the Ministry of Agriculture, is focused on building partnerships that push agriculture and will push agriculture into leading the growth engine for Jamaica.
He also highlighted opportunities in cold storage, logistics hubs, equipment leasing, and large-scale production parks.
No industry thrives without strong infrastructure. And in agriculture, what does that mean? It means cold storage, warehousing, roads, irrigation, and reliable sources of power. Our parks and facilities already have some of these in terms of utilities and irrigation in place. Now we're expanding the capacity. This is the chance for investors to co-own and operate strategic assets in partnership with government. Think of it as investing in the backbone of Jamaica's agriculture value chain.
That was Chief Executive Officer of Agro-Invest, Vivian Scully. In other news, the Bank of Jamaica has once again mounted a decisive defense of the Jamaican dollar, launching back-to-back flash interventions that injected a combined US $60 million into the foreign exchange market over 2 days. This morning's sale, valued at US $30 million, gave authorized dealers and cambios just 1 hour to submit bids through the bank's BFixit platform. Today's sale operation is being settled on Friday, September 19, with the bank imposing strict conditions, including a maximum resale spread of 20 cents and restricting allocations to end users, such as businesses paying for essential goods and services. The operation follows Wednesday's flash auction. That auction attracted 43 eligible bids totaling US $73 million, more than double the bank's offer. In the end, Only 18 bids were successful, with the full US $30 million allocated at a settlement price of Jamaican $159.99 to $1. The largest single award, US $5 million, cleared at Jamaican $160. And the BOJ's intervention in the currency markets have yielded positive results as the Jamaican dollar won against all its counterparts today, with the exception of the euro. In Thursday's currency trading session, the US dollar is selling for $160.48, the Canadian for $116.29, the pound for $217.95, while $191.24 is the going rate for the euro. We move to the latest updates from the JSE equities markets. In Thursday's trading session, the JSE market activity resulted in the trading of 103 stocks, of which 38 advanced, 43 declined, and 22 traded firm. Leading the winners are ISP Finance Services, Knutsford Express Services, the Limnas and Bards, and Guardian Holdings. While leading the losers are Jamaica Public Service Company 7%, AS Bryden & Sons Holdings, Sagicor Real Estate X Fund, and Epley Limited. The main index declined by 606.47 points, or 0.19%, to close at 318,729.03 points. The junior market index, however, advanced by 91.99 points, or 2.77%, to close at 3,415.15 points.
And it's time for Market Education Feature, brought to you by CariCris, Regional Ratings, Global Standard.
In today's Market Education Feature, we're looking at the interbank rate. The interbank rate is the interest charged on short-term loans exchanged between banks. These transactions, often overnight and rarely lasting beyond a few days, help banks maintain liquidity, meet reserve requirements, and manage cash flow efficiently. Beyond local lending, the interbank rate also applies internationally, where banks trade in foreign currencies to support global trade, manage risks, and settle cross-border obligations. These foreign exchange rates are vital because they influence everything from currency conversions to international loans and other financial instruments.
The Market Education Feature was brought to you by CariCris, Regional Ratings, Global Standards.
And that's it for the local news segment. Please stay with us. The regional news is up next.
The local news is brought to you by Darriman Trading, better from the start. Development Bank of Jamaica, facilitating economic growth and development. Caribbean flavors and fragrances, tease the senses. And Pulse Investments.
Serious about building Jamaica? Build with solid PVC pipes and conduits, manufactured in Jamaica by Phosphate, made to the highest standard. Solid PVC pipes and conduits are made in Jamaica by Jamaicans for Jamaicans. Available at hardware stores across the island. Take some solid advice, support our economy, and build well. Buy solid PVC pipes. Next time, ask for solid brand PVC pipes and conduits. Call our distributors or Phosphate at 876-937-5099.
Welcome back. And now for the regional business news. Fresh from securing a new electoral term, President Dr. Irfan Ali has placed urban transformation at the heart of his agenda, unveiling an ambitious blueprint to remake Georgetown into the Caribbean's model green city. Speaking at his first press conference since the September 1 election on Wednesday, President Ali says implementation has already begun in the capital and its surrounding region.
We are advancing a national strategy for sustainable urban development, first of which is focused heavily on the city itself. Implementation begins in Georgetown and its surrounding region, the country's largest urban area, where major investments since 2020 have included highways, drainage upgrades, and a high-span bridge over the Demerara River. These efforts are helping to drive economic growth, improve quality of life, and are complemented by the large-scale expansion of service housing lots to meet growing demand.
He also presented the National Strategy for Sustainable Urban Development, anchored in Guyana's Low Carbon Development Strategy 2030.
In support of the urban development framework and a wider vision for Georgetown set out in the Low Carbon Development Strategy 2030, 15 flagship demonstration projects are to be advanced. Projects such as development of recreational spaces, the enhancement of places of architectural heritage, the inclusion of biodiversity and celebration of our biodiversity in the city itself, and a series of educational programs that would be aimed at behavioral change.
That was President of Guyana, Dr. Irfan Ali. Barbados Prime Minister Mia Mottley has sounded a clarion call for the World Trade Organization, WTO, to address the next frontier in global fisheries reform, the heavy subsidization of major industrial fleets that she says is crippling small island economies. Speaking at the entry into force ceremony for the WTO's Agreement on Fisheries Subsidies in Geneva on Monday, Mottley welcomed the historic deal banning illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing, but she insisted that the work is far from finished.
There remains, I tell you, more to be done. WTO members must now tackle the scourge of oversubsidization from major fishing nations that is devastating our global commons and preventing small island states and LDCs and small vulnerable economies from participating in an economic activity that can bring so much to our economies and our societies.
Prime Minister Mottley says the world cannot afford to drag its feet on reforming global fisheries for another 2 decades.
We cannot wait another 24 years to complete our assignment. I would like to urge all WTO members for us to get back to the negotiating table to bring Part 2 of the Fisheries Subsidies Agreement home, and to do it, yes, in a spirit of compromise, fairness, and proportionality. For we remember the Aristotelian principle that has guided us in so many trade agreements: equality among equals and proportionality among unequals.
That was Prime Minister of Barbados, Mia Mottley. In other news, Belize has overhauled its century-old bankruptcy law in a landmark move aimed at strengthening financial resilience and investor confidence. The Financial Services Commission has announced the enactment of the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Act of 2025, replacing the 123-year-old Bankruptcy Act. The new law modernizes Belize's insolvency framework, covering both individuals and companies, and introduces mechanisms to help struggling but viable businesses recover. Authorities say this will protect jobs and ensure fairness and transparency across the financial system. Among its key features are tighter oversight of insolvency practitioners, clearer rules for liquidation, and new rescue options for firms. Special provisions have also been created for micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises, while updated rules for financial netting and cross-border cooperation are expected to boost investor confidence. Implementation will be phased over the next year, starting this month with foundational provisions and expanding to cover corporate and personal bankruptcy, institutional structures, and cross-border arrangements. The reform follows Belize's acceptance earlier this year into the International Association of Insolvency Regulators. The FSC says training and public awareness will accompany the rollout, ensuring that the new system delivers on its promise of economic stability. It's now time for news from the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 17 securities, of which 3 advanced, 6 declined, and 8 traded firm. Today's winners are Unilever Caribbean, Grace Kennedy Limited, and Republic Financial Holdings, while leading the losers are JMMB Group, Trinidad and Tobago NGL, Guardian Holdings, and the West Indian Tobacco Company. Trading activity resulted in the following movements. The All-TNT Index declined by 2.73 points to close at 1,423.11. The Composite Index declined by 1.82 points to close at 988.80. The Cross-Listed Index declined by 0.12 points to close at 73.38. The SME Index remained at 100.65. And we take a short break, but please do stay with us. The international news segment is up.
Let's all get fit. This summer sweat drip. Hip dips and split. Power in the mind, let's get healthy with it. Sometimes the body's so hard, but your body wants it. And then your head is so hard, and it's so like this. So we gotta go 1, 2, 3. One more now. 1, 2, 3. Let's go. One more now. 1, 2, 3. One more now. 1, 2, 3, go!
Are so much book you need for high school?
I'll show you how to make sure you have all the money for my books and even some extra. It's called budgeting, Dad. Making a budget is the most important thing you can do to track your money. It keeps a record of how much you make, how much you spend, where you spend it, and most importantly, how much you can save. Write down all your income, write down all your expenses, see where you can cut down and allot more money to more important things, like saving.
Welcome back. In international news, the Federal Reserve and the Bank of England both signaled the start of cautious monetary easing, reflecting slowing inflation and tepid economic growth. The Fed cut its benchmark interest rate by 25 basis points to a range of 4 to 4.25%, its first reduction since December 2024, aligning with market expectations. New projections showed slightly stronger U.S. GDP growth through 2027 and a slower than expected decline in inflation. The Fed anticipates 2 more rate cuts by the end of 2025 and a further reduction in 2026. Governor Stephen Moran dissented, calling for a deeper 50 basis point cut. Meanwhile, the Bank of England held its bank rate steady at 4% in a 7-2 vote, with 2 members advocating for a 25 basis point cut. The bank also slowed its pace of quantitative tightening, planning to reduce gilt holdings by £20 billion over the next year. While inflation targets remain above 2%, the consumer price index was 3.8% in August. Officials noted easing wage growth and economic slack, stressing flexible data-dependent path forward. And while US and UK central banks are charting their next moves, Europe is facing pressures of its own. The Eurozone current account surplus narrowed to €35 billion in July 2025, down from €39.3 billion a year earlier. This was driven mainly by a sharp decline in the goods surplus, which slipped to €27.9 billion from €35.3 billion. The service surplus also eased slightly to €19.9 billion, while the secondary income deficit widened to €15.7 billion. In contrast, the primary income account swung into a €2.9 billion surplus compared to a €2.1 billion deficit last year. Seasonally adjusted, the surplus fell to €27.7 billion in July from €35.8 billion in June, below market expectations of €34.6 billion. And from Europe's trading balance to a bolder corporate move in US tech sector, Intel shares jumped 24% after Nvidia announced a $5 billion investment in the chip maker, marking a strategic partnership to co-develop next-generation data center and PC chips. Nvidia will acquire a 10% stake in Intel, a deal facilitated by the Trump administration in August, aimed at boosting U.S. semiconductor competitiveness. The partnership will focus on joint chip design, but will not involve Nvidia outsourcing manufacturing to Intel's foundries. The deal is subjected to regulatory approval. And we turn now to Asia, where China's central bank moves swiftly to keep its financial system flush with liquidity. The People's Bank of China injected a net 195 billion won, equivalent to about $68.56 billion into the banking system on September 18 via 7-day reverse repos, while holding the rate steady at 1.4%. The operation involved 487 billion won in fresh liquidity, offsetting 292 billion won in maturing repos. The move came just hours after the U.S. Fed rate cut, underlining Beijing's commitment to ensuring stable liquidity as it navigates domestic growth challenges. The 7-day reverse repo remains its key short-term policy tool, last reduced by 10 basis points in May. And that's it for the international segment of the newscast. The news recap is coming up on the other side.
My granny I save her money under her mattress.
Exactly. Your grandmother house never burned down?
No, oh, you reached that, so. That was a one-off thing.
That could have happened to anybody. That's why you must put your money in a financial institution and protect it.
What if the bank crash?
Well, that's where JDIC comes in.
What you mean?
JDIC is a financial safety net which provides coverage for your money in case your financial institution fails.
Explain that to me.
All right. Because of the JDIC deposit insurance scheme, once you put your money into a financial institution like a bank or building society, you can get coverage of up to a maximum of $1.2 million per deposit of your financial institution if it should fail. And for even more information, you can visit their new website at www.jdic.org, and you can follow the social media platforms for the latest information.
JDIC, protecting deposits for you and me. Caribbean Dreams, instant turmeric tea. What you put in is what you get out. What you put in is what you get out, yeah. Build up your body, boost up your brain. Take on the world now. Say bye-bye pain. Caribbean Dreams, instant turmeric tea. Be good to you. Caribbean Dreams, instant turmeric tea. Distributed by Amalgamated Distributors Limited.
Miguel Lewis, Business Development and Sales Manager at QMax Wealth, and you are watching CBX, your region, your business, your source.
Giselle Riley here, wishing CBX a happy anniversary. Thank you for sharing the news that people need and want to hear. Here's to many, many more years to come.
On behalf of the Trans-Tobago Stock Exchange and the Trans-Tobago Central Depository, I'd like to wish CBX a happy, happy, happy anniversary. 3 years already. Thank you for what you're doing for us as a region. Thank you for keeping us connected. Here's wishing you many, many, many more years of success. Happy anniversary, CBX.